live now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome
Just a couple of secs, Laura.
No
Sorry,
worries.
it says live on there.
It does.
I can see on Facebook.
Okay.
Seconds to go. All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unmuted Festival and to Amplified, our panel discussion event. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Warawarang and Jajawarang people and the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the land on which I am today, and to the traditional custodians for wherever you are today. And we pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. We're going to start today with a song and a music video clip from one of our panelists, Farhad Bandesh. It is called Friendship. This song has a really lovely story behind it. Farhad, would you like to share that with us now?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. I wish to acknowledge the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, stolen land, and I pay my respect to indigenous people, past, present, and future. This song is called Friendship. It has a story behind, and it's really interesting for me, and I think for many people who are gonna listen to the song. I wrote the song because of my friend who is more than 80 years old, who helped me to and encouraged me to learn English and pushed me to write poetry in English. And we are friends more than 5 years. Where I came from, Manus Island, she tried to encourage me, help me with poetry, and she sent me her poetries, and I read them and I love them. And I thought I could write a song about our friendship. And this is a gift to Melita Locke, who helped me, and she called me every day on the phone. She cares a lot about me and others, refugees who are still in limbo. Thanks to those people who are gonna listen to my song, Friendship.
Although you are far, and I wish you were near, you lighten my heart, you drive away fear. Whatever you say is treasure you give. It makes me so happy to sing and to live. It makes me so happy to sing and to live.
In your heart I am safe, and in your soul so wide. When I feel so sad, it's here that I hide.
Here I feel I do belong, away from the strife. I can write a new song,
And
here we find life. It makes me so happy to sing and to live. It makes me so happy
to
to sing and to live. You may be far, and I wish you were near. I never let go, I never let you down. I never let go, I never let you down. It makes me so happy to sing and to live. It makes me so happy to sing and to live. It makes me so happy to sing and to live. It makes me so happy to sing and to live.
That was our panelist Farhad Bandesh's song called Friendship, written about his friend Melita. We had some positive comments on the Facebook Live event, and Judith wanted to share with you, she thought it was a beautiful and amazing song, Farhad.
Thanks a lot.
So our panel discussion today is on the topic, can music be a positive influence on mental health? And I'll be your host. My name is Laura Hudson. I'm a singer-songwriter from Ballarat, and I've been a participant in the Wild at Heart music program, writing songs for 2 years now. I like to write from my own personal experience and to include images of nature in my writing. And it's been a very powerful way for me to overcome some difficult mental health issues that I have had. And it'd be great if we can talk more about how music has been maybe a positive influence on people's lives today. I'd like to hand over to Phil, who will be my co-host. Phil, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Laura. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I can see we've got a fantastic audience already on Facebook. So welcome to people. Welcome Sabet and Freya Ann. I think Emily Ullman might be watching as well, Judith Kelly and others. Thanks for being here. My name is Phil Hoytson-Roeder. I should say, like Laura, I've been involved in Wild at Heart for quite a long time. And I really love the community that we have of artists whose voices don't get heard much, but are incredible storytellers and stories that our society must hear and must be changed by. So it's a real pleasure for me to be here today with our guests for our conversation. I feel like this is one of the most important parts of our conversation this week in the Unmuted Festival.
So before we start exploring this question of music being a positive influence on mental health from a couple of different angles, I'd like to introduce you to our brilliant panelists. First up, we might go to Francesca Gonzales. Could you please introduce yourself, tell us who you are as an artist, and also tell us about your relationship with the panel topic for this afternoon.
Hello everyone, I'm Francesca Gonzales. I have been a musician in Melbourne for the last 6 years. I make soul and R&B music, and I also am a sessional player as well in a few bands around town. I've been incredibly interested in mental health in the music industry for the last 18 months. I started a group therapy called Breakfast Club that was all about bringing community to musicians who find their jobs extremely isolating. And we would meet up each week at people's houses and discuss topics that related to being a musician. And slowly I started to see how important it was to have community and talk about experiences that we were going through and have like-minded people around us who were feeling the same thing. And that kind of kicked off my interest in mental health in the music industry. And I've decided to start studying counselling to go further into that.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Francesca, for being here today. Let's give a round of applause for Francesca. Make some internet noise. Now, I'd like to throw to Ajak Mavia. Would you like to introduce yourself, please, and tell us about who you are as an artist and also your relationship to the panel topic for this afternoon? Ajak.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ajak Kwai. That is actually my real name, and my middle name, and that is my performance name. But my name is Ajak Mavia, and so I am a singer, a songwriter, and sometimes I do theater as well. And so I've been performing for 17 years here in Australia. I came from Egypt long time ago, and I settled in Harvard, and then I moved to Melbourne. And so my relation with the topic today is pretty much about music and experiences. And as I mentioned before, I came with I am an observer, as I said. I have two stories to tell. One is from my own country, how I start music, and the music was pretty much different between the music here and back in my home. It's all community. It involves everyone. It's something that everyone join in, and it's something make people happy. It's just a community. It's a community, and that's why I love choir. And I think it's important that the music in a community keep going. Otherwise, it's really very hard in places like Australia because people are very isolated. Where I come from, it's all about people all the time. So that is my experience. My music, I share music with the community. There was no someone is special. You all the same. So that is one. I learned singing when I was quite young, very young age, because I couldn't speak very well. And so singing actually helped me to speak. And then after that, I become a little bit older. I hated it because people say, oh, she only sings and she doesn't speak. And so I stopped singing. And then again, I joined the choir. And I later on, when I become a little bit older. And so since then, I sing in a group for a long time. And so that's how I get into music. And I come from a very musical family. My father was really a great singer. My uncle as well. He wrote a lot of anthem songs. My dad, and so that was heritage from the family. But actually, I did created my own. Yeah. So that is what music. That's how I learned to sing. Now here in Australia, it become totally different because you have to do music as a profession, and which is another totally different because I didn't grow up with that demanding to be just something just for you, and so I learn a lot. And in terms of how we do the music for to heal ourselves, music is such a very powerful. It's a very powerful in so many ways, and for me, particular, it kept me grounded. Last 14 years I've been in Melbourne, and I really feel if I didn't have a music, I would have a problem. And because the music kept me absolutely, it became totally different from when I was started the music. It was kind of fun running away from it. And when I came now in these days, I think about what I write. I did before. I was a very good songwriter when I was in Egypt. Before I came here, I really had that a church philosophy because all my school were in church, and I learned from collaborate the Bible and all that. So I used to write about peace and love a lot. And then when I came here, I found another thing that disappointed me in some way, and I don't want to change to be a negative, like to sing a negative song. So I had this dialogue in myself that about, should I stick to my own, that what I used to do, because the anger, it doesn't solve any problem, and but not to be angry as a woman, African woman, live here, particularly as a Sudanese woman. As you know, my community has been targeted in Australia. We become like somehow with the people, with the beautiful people of Sudan, very proud people, and we are because a young people who got the problem here in Australia, somehow the whole community is bad, and so it's easy to hate people, and I have been fighting that. I don't want it to be, and I can see how you can generalize people, which is not a good thing. It's a very dangerous thing, and I never call Australia a racist country. But I can see there are some people, who make our life miserable. So that I put it into the music, and this is a very difficult time for me actually and very, very important time to have a music in me, because I have been very angry for the last 7 years. And actually a friend of mine, they tell me that if you don't do something about it, it will kill you, because I was so angry. And at myself, and it's always you forget about the beautiful people of Australia when you get negative all the time, not necessarily all things. So this kind is very important. My experience now is very important that I have a music in me, and I have a music to share a music with the community. And I think this processing has been really important, particularly in a lock-in time. It has been very, very helpful. And so what I would say is to have, a community music is so important in people's life. And I don't want to go on and on, but as you could see here in Australia, because there is a lot of people, you could see how people are very vulnerable in this time, and because people are isolated. And so it's very important time for us to learn how it is important to have people in your life. And music is the only dialogue that it doesn't free people. Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing, Ajak, and introducing yourself so well. I can hear how music has been fundamental through your journey through this life. Thank you. Let's have some internet noise for Ajak. And now I'd really love to introduce to you can I call you a friend, Farhad? I think we've been involved in the Wild at Heart community arts
Yes, sure.
writing for some time now, and I've never met you in person, but I've seen your face on the internet so often every week. So this is Farhad Bandesh, and I'd love to have him introduce himself and tell us a little bit about himself and his situation and who he is as an artist and what brings him to talk about the panel topic this afternoon.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, my name is Farhad Bandesh. Actually, I was a guitar maker when I was on my land, and I had to leave my country. Actually, we have no country. We are Kurdish. When I found Australia 2013, and the Australian government exiled us with hundreds refugees to Manus and Nauru. And it was there I tried to make my own music. Before I tried to make music, it was just for fun, and I thought this is the time to make some music. And I started with Kurdish music, and I thought I have to make it more international. People can listen to it, and I asked my friends, Wendy. She's a great singer in Australia. She helped me with English part. The part she sings in English, and I sing in Kurdish. It's called "Don't Forget Me." That was 2016, and I released the song 2017. That's my experience on Manus Island to create music, and I continue it. As you can see, I am in Malta right now. It's about 5 months I am in Malta. And the reason I am in Australia, it's first is because of freedom and safety. And it's nearly 8 years. I am with hundreds of refugees who are innocent, committed no crime. We're still looking for safety and to be part of the community, which is Australia or somewhere. And I made friends with lots of Australian friends. They are my family. I call them always. They are my big family, and I have collaboration with artists, with musicians, songwriters, and in Malta I released 3 songs. You just listen one of them, Friendship. I think music is everything. If we imagine remove or delete the music in our lives, I think we cannot live. We cannot exist anymore. And it's help you more healthy. And we are here today to talk about music, how impact the mental health issues.
Thank you so much, Farhad. I'm thrilled that you were able to make it today to our panel discussion. So a big round of applause, some internet love for all our panelists. Let's get into some questions. So we're going to start talking about personal experience and artistic practice. I think some of you have already shared this a little bit already, but particularly Ajak Kwai, you talked about how you got into music. So as a young girl, learning to speak and singing was a way to do that. So maybe from Francesca and Farhad as well, can we start hearing a little bit about how you got into music initially?
I just want to apologize because
Jump in.
I just want to apologize because I just put it all. I thought that was a question.
Great.
It was a very
apologize.
thorough introduction.
That was a long one.
Great one too, Ajak.
So Francesca, can you tell me how you first got into music?
Sure. I had a great friend who I went to a school that didn't really support being a musician, but it was so important to me because I'm mainly a singer, and I used to sing all the time, and that's kind of what got me through life. And then finally someone said to me, you can actually do music and you should do music. And so I dropped out of graphic design school and gave music a go for a year and saw how it went, just wanted to see how it went. And it was amazing. I met some incredible people that were super supportive and wanted to facilitate me recording some music. And just with each step, there were so many amazing supportive people that just kept pushing me. And yeah, that's kind of brought me to just continuing doing music. And I've just loved it so much. It's been amazing. And I think living in Melbourne, especially, it's such an incredible city to do music. And, you know, you can get a gig every night of the week. And there's so many amazing people within our community. So yeah, it's probably quite a huge testament to living in such a great city.
Yeah, Melbourne is such a creative city.
And there's so many initiatives like this program, and I work for a company called YOWO, which is pushing young women in music as well. And so we have so many great initiatives within the city that are really supporting people doing music and doing it properly, and learning how to facilitate a career in music, which is pretty lucky, hey?
Yeah, yeah. Farhad, can you just tell us a little bit more about how you first got into music? I know you were a guitar maker back home.
I remember when I was young, I tried to make a traditional instrument. I think it was teenager. And the first time I made a guitar and also a santur. Santur is a traditional instrument in Middle East. It was a long time ago. I think I was like 20 something. I built a guitar, and at the same time I tried to learn guitar, and I had no teacher in my whole life, and I taught myself. Everything I learned, I try to learn, you know. It's really hard to find the way, the correct way to actually create or play music. And the music is still with me, and I cannot leave it. I cannot give it away. This is something with me always. Always I listen to music. I try to create music. Doesn't matter. Sometimes lyrics, sometimes with music. And this is the way in detention to save my health and mental health, not go crazy and be healthy.
So music has really become an inherent just part of you, a facet of who you are as a person.
Yeah, it always is with me. It's because it's something I can not compare with your clothes. Or every day you're wearing your clothes, you tie them, you look after them. You know, the music is inside you, always feeding your mind, and you need it, and it makes you happy, sometimes sad, and that's why, as I always say, music is something everyone needs to listen or play.
I'd like to first, before we go to a song, Phil, ask just another question about how do you use music, artists? Do you use music in a way to benefit your mental health, or and also talking about maybe like how do you manage stress when you're gigging and things like that, anxiety, you know, so that it doesn't affect your performance? I'm really interested to know. Ajak, would you like to go first?
Yeah, because very interesting. When I first came to Australia, look, we got I come from a war country. And don't get me wrong, we got this sort of problem, you know. But it kind of better, you know that why Africa is left behind, because we better lax people. we don't actually, you know, it's better. I don't know the word. So, you know, when you sing, there is no distress at all, because it's, I had a band in Cairo called the Girls Band before I came to Australia. And three of my cousins, we just sing. And if you don't sing the note, who cares? And most of it we sing in a cappella. And so all my life I sing a cappella. And so when I make a band in Tasmania and I have instrument, I had to be flexible to be able to do that. And so it was kind of hard to. And so when I go to perform, I'm nervous that I'm going to maybe be sharp, because I used to be very sharp when I'm singing. And they said, come down, you are over there. So somehow, yeah, somehow it creates this problem. So when I sing by myself, I sing like absolutely nothing. But when I go out, I'm really nervous because I'm going to make a mistake, and so that is a little bit. And over the years, I have been really trying to address that. And so, but from you know, for a long time, it wasn't something that I really worried about, because I have that, you know, if you make a mistake and then you fix it. And so that has been my problem, is to being told off to, because you're very sharp. And so that was really great, you know, nerves.
Yeah, so I can see how being told you're sharp in the past has really affected you and made you a bit concerned about, is it singing with other people and singing with other instruments then, when you're used to singing by yourself and you're really more free to do whatever you like melodically. Yeah. Francesca, would you like to tell us a little bit about how you manage nerves when you're gigging?
Sure. I was just going to say, read the How Does Music Help Your Mental Health? I think it's just so incredible that as musicians, we have to face our emotions, and in the songwriting process, we have to really dive deep and look at what we're feeling and then kind of turn it into something beautiful. And I think that this is such an important thing for mental health, is that instead of facing things or things coming into your life that are emotionally stressing or anxious, to be able to really face them and dive in deep and look at them from all different angles, I think is incredibly beneficial, and like turning them into something special as well is, I think, really helpful. And I really want to try and help people who aren't musicians also try to see that as well. I think that that's incredibly important. But on tour and that kind of thing, I think self-care is incredibly important. Not drinking is a big one for me. I think it's a very old school thing to think that musicians and artists are really into drugs and alcohol, but I think that really needs to change. And I think that venues also need to facilitate safe spaces that also help musicians and their mental healths, because we are out on the road a lot and, you know, at pubs and that kind of thing a lot of the nights. And if there's not a safe space, then it's pretty exhausting. So I really fight for that and trying to make self-care for myself number one.
Can I just speak on that one? It is very important, you know, to hear a young woman like you talking about that, because it's a thing that I would like to talk to with the young people in the African community, in the music industry or art, because as I mentioned before about my, you know, when I'm nervous and go tall up, some of my musician colleagues say, oh, maybe you can drink something, you will get rid of nerve. but I don't drink. I never drink, and I never smoke. I never test anything. And I said, oh, you just have to drink a little bit. And I said, no, I can't, because it's something I never learned how to do. So it's very important that young people don't go into that, because it only will ruin their life and nothing else. So I think I'm so glad that, you know, someone like you come up with that idea.
Yeah, thank you, Ajak. And I also think that especially the culture around gigging is that you enter the music industry and that it's rife with alcohol. And so you just do that and you just take part. But I think the more and more people that, like both of us, say that we don't want to drink and that we don't need that, I think the better. And there's actually a lot of people wanting the same. So it's very important, I think, to talk about.
Yeah, alcohol can be quite an unhealthy coping mechanism. So maybe having tools in your toolbox, strategies in your toolbox that you can go to, like grounding techniques or breathing techniques, or, you know, having a buddy that, you know, is a safe person that you can just go to if you just need to have some time away from the hustle and bustle of the bar or where the event that you're working in. But much more healthy coping strategies to deal with stress and anxiety and the overwhelmed feeling that you can have at gigs like that. We've got just a question from the audience. Now, Elizabeth Cox Farhad has heard that they have taken the government has taken your instruments and things from you. I did hear earlier that your guitar, they'd taken your guitar from you at Manus Island, I believe. So maybe if you could just tell us, like, outline your setup, like what have you got at the moment that you can work on to produce your music, and now your budding animation clips as well. If I can tease that there.
You know, on Manus Island, they drive us crazy. Sometimes they give us art materials, instruments like guitar, and they take away. And it happened a lot to me and others. And I have that bad experience, how they treat us and how they treat an artist, a musician. I cannot call myself I'm a refugee. I am a human. First, I'm a human, and then an artist, musician, an instrument maker. They treat this character when I was on Manus Island, and it was inhumane. And you know, it's more than 5 months. I was on actually Mantra Hotel. I was locked up with around 65 refugees who are mentally and physically sick. And we were transferred to Australia for medical help under Medivac bill. After 1 year and few months, we have no receiving any proper medication or answer from ABF, IHMS, or Serco company. And they forcibly removed me from there, and they took my art materials first to punish me not speaking out or tell the truth or say anything about my rights as a human. And then second, as a refugee, and then as a patient. I cannot even say anything about my health. And they punished me, and I am here, and I want to tell the Australian people they really care about me and others. And if I am still alive, it's because of my friends who helped me not go crazy or harm myself. Instead, these things I create and share my love and my music with wonderful Australian people. And it's something I need to appreciate them actually the musicians and songwriters. And this time we are here in Unmuted Festival, Wild at Heart. And, you know, I made friends with all of them. They are wonderful people. I have my guitar, Shane Howard. He is a musician, Australian musician. He provided guitar for me, but you know, I cannot have it for many reasons. The manager, circle managers, and ABF, they gave me some excuse because of COVID-19. I cannot have the guitar, and still I am wishing to have my guitar. You know, it's a gift. It's a gift from a wonderful musician, Shane Howard, and I wish one day I meet with you people and meet you in real and person and share my story, my music. At the moment, I am just using my phone for promote my music or create my music. And the only way I record my demo for my songs is just my phone.
It's amazing how something so small can have such a big impact, Farhad.
Yeah, and make a big noise.
Noise with a little phone, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm interested to, can I ask a question, Laura? I'm just interested in this relationship between music and your, you know, the music inside you, the personal experience of music. And we've talked a lot about community and connection. I'm interested in that relationship. You know, what does music do for you internally in your own well-being, and what does your music do for others? And I'm just point to a comment from Sabet Cox, and Farhad, you know, and you're friends with Sabet. She says the artists and musicians and writers, as you will know this, Farhad, in the Manus Detention Centre, in fact, kept everybody else well through their art. And so I'm interested to ask this question of you as artists. What does the music do for you, your internal experience of music, and what does your music do for others in community?
I think I am trying to show the reality of the cruel of the Australian government and how they treat innocent people, and the pain of refugee and asylum seekers in detention center, how we spend our lives in cages for a long time, such a long time. We are close to 8 years right now, and there is no any plan for releasing us to the community after so long. And you know, we are just innocent people. We are looking for safety, and my music, I think, show the reality of the pain and the cruelty. And also, you know, for my political songs, I have not received any comments from the media, and it's really interesting. And that's something different. Later, we can talk about it in somewhere else.
Thanks, Farhad. Fran, what about for you?
I think music has such a power. You know, it can change someone's day if they're waking up and feeling pretty terrible. They can listen to their favorite song. And I think, as Farhad said, like, to take music away from someone who it's so ingrained in themselves, it's impossible. You can't do that. And even when you ask me, like, how did I get into music? It's just I had to do it. There's no other way. It's in me. It's my voice. It's just, and I think to be able to turn that into messages and turn it into something that more people are listening to, as Farhad said, I think is incredibly important. And I think I love that idea of kind of using it more as a political voice. I don't do that with my music, but I really respect people who do. But yeah, I just think that it's power. it's really powerful. It's kind of the closest thing I know to magic.
And Ajak, what does your music do for others? How does your music, bring well-being to other people in community?
Yeah, first of all, it does for me. It does for me. It's something you can't get rid of. It's something a part of you, and if you have something like that, you have to share it with people, because the beauty of music, you could share it with people. And I think I'm been traveling around Australia the last 10 years, and I just said, if I do something make people happy, that actually it gives you peace. So I have to, it create peace within me, and to be able to offer that to people. It's really important. I'm not a big artist, but if I were a big artist, that is what you do. You create. The music doesn't preach people. It doesn't tell people what to do. It's like a film. You take something out of it, and you can take it as your own. It's the same thing with the music. And one thing I stay away from, as you know, a lot of young artists, or not so young, Black artists, they always sing about this struggle. But I don't even speak, when I perform about it, because it doesn't help. And so the people who come to see us are the people who actually care about us, and to be able to hit them in the face with your anger, it is not. I never want to be a part of that. And I think music is to create harmony, is to create a family, is to create, to bring people together. And that's what you did as well, Phil. And I haven't mentioned that, I discovered that beautiful music because of you. And other part, I know my, pop music back when we were growing up, but I never, the deep part of the music that you do in choir, I never got access to it, and I'm so glad. And I talk about it even in my radio show, that how I'm so lucky to be able to witness that. And it made me forget, if there is a tone, something, a little bit, uncomfortable, I still loved the fact that music bring people together. And I think that what I love about music is to make people happy and not harm people.
Yeah, I love how for you music is about bringing people together and not pushing them apart.
Yeah.
That family and connection. I'd like to really have a music performance now. Francesca, you've got a song called Psychology that you said you would share it with us. Can you tell us a little bit about how this song came to be and what it's about? Give us some context here.
Sure. I wrote this song because I kind of started to become, I've always kind of been a rock for so many different people. I love helping people through their struggles and sitting down with them and talking. And so I decided to write a song just about that experience and about how I have become a lot of people's rocks, and it's such a joy. And yeah, I thought it's pretty appropriate to sing today. It's unreleased, but who knows, it might be released soon. Can you hear that? Is that all good? It's been a while since somebody loved me. It's been a while since somebody touched me. I've taken the back seat in love. I've taken a back seat with touch. Help yourself before you involve somebody else. You see, alone it's not as scary as it may seem. Oh, I've become a subject of psychology. I've become a subject of psychology. I've become a subject of psychology. Oh, together in darkness, happy alone. I've never been so content on my own. I've taken the backseat with love. I've taken the backseat with trust. Help yourself before you involve somebody else. You see, alone it's not as scary as it may seem. Whoa, I've become the subject of psychology. I've become a subject of psychology. I've become a subject of psychology. Whoa. I've become a subject of psychology. I've become a subject of psychology. I've become a subject of psychology. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Everybody hit that love button.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Nice.
Thank
Francesca
you.
Gonzales.
Yeah,
Her beautiful soul
Beautiful,
vocals.
Francesca.
yeah.
We've got Chloe here feeding us the comments on the Facebook Live, and I think she's got to do a bit of catching up at the moment. So thank you so much for sharing that, Francesca.
No worries.
We've all had a pretty crazy year this year. It's been the longest decade, in existence, I think. What has been the impact of this COVID pandemic on your music and your mental health? And can you share that with us now?
Me?
Yeah, Francesca, wonderful. Jump in.
I've been having a lot of reflection on my music at the moment, and I think having space this year has been incredible. I think the music lifestyle and the kind of go-go world that we're just constantly kind of contributing to and gigging, and just there's so many things to do as a musician, but having space to be more refined in my art has been incredibly amazing, and I've had space to just write as many songs as possible so that I can get really good at that skill, because I've never really spent the time on that. And then I'm really excited to actually now record, I think, some of the best songs that I've ever written, and then put a new live set together that I think will be the best I've had because of this time and space, being able to help me refine and be a little bit more mindful in actually what I'm doing.
That is just amazing. You've had this intensive period where you've not been allowed to gig in person anywhere, so you've really put your head down and practice that skill of writing. That's wonderful. I'd love to hear your music when it comes out. That's going to be so very exciting. And Chloe's just caught up. So we've got some wonderful comments from the Facebook Live. Judith Kelly says, "That's beautiful and fantastic, Francesca."
Thanks, Judith.
Hannah said, "Love the tone of that organ." Maddie said, "Yes, Fran, what a superstar." So, Ajak, would you like to tell us a little bit about how the COVID pandemic has impacted you just this year in your music and in your mental health?
Well, yeah, it's very interesting. I didn't really have the time to write music, which is sad, and practice music as well, because I caught up, reflect on myself and try find myself really rage for some reason, and so I just focus on writing. Absolutely, write stories. I don't even know what they're going to be like. I'm not a writer. Imagine my English. But I did write a lot. I just write poem, spoken word, whatever I can get my head off. And so that has been very good in that sense. And then I'll be woke up. I forget the music. I'm supposed to practice music. So that is what I did. But then again, doing the program at PBS has been a very great for me. Have something to looking forward to go and listen to my favorite music. It was just so beautiful. And so my mental, it didn't get bad, like, like you should expect it, like getting worse. Because some of the problem, there are some of the hurt, some people are experiencing this now, but some of us experienced a lot before. So it was just like another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's how I take it. I just say, oh, that is another, that is another hurt. And so it's like other one before. So that's the way I took it. But and I've been doing some nice music. We were supposed to recording. Album is going to come out. I didn't put album out for a long time, and it's going to come out maybe the end of the year. And so we are doing writing and do that. We get, some little music projects now and then. So that was really my time in lockdown. And one thing though I find it hard is not to visit some of my community, members of my community, because that is where when you catch up and you just talk about all that, to sharing, what I mean. And so that was, and because I create my own community in Melbourne, and the lovely people of Australia, that is what they're good at. They're very good of, to see someone, they better help, they reach out for people. And I think if we keep that spirit extended to people like, from a detention center, that would be really a good, because Australia is capable. All Australian people are beautiful people. So friend, because I don't drive, friend come and take me out, we go for a walk. Or there was a time I was locked down because I came across someone got coronavirus, and and some of community members of community, because my relative couldn't come, so this is was beautiful. I didn't, it was the one word to say it. It just was just another one.
Yeah, I can see how the COVID pandemic can just be seen as just another challenge to get through when you've had other difficulties already in your life.
Yeah, and though that is a thing that my community didn't cope very well, because isolation is not, we're not very good at. It's that was a one thing, one of the bad thing, the worst. We're not very good isolate. We're not absolutely, we can go crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be really challenging when you're used to having family and large families or community members, together and sharing space together all the time, to then only be in your own household group. I can see how that would be really challenging at this time. Yeah. Farhad, how has the COVID pandemic affected you while you've been at the Mantra and then now at Maisha?
To my music, you mean, or my mental health? Or
both. Has it impacted on your mental health? Has it impacted on your day-to-day living? Have routines changed? And also, how are you feeling about all that?
Yeah, I am like others, still panicking to not catch the COVID-19. In detention, it's impossible to practice social distancing, and there is no sanitize at all. And as I said, the reason I am in Malta right now, it's because of COVID-19. I was speaking out and I asked the government, we are in great danger and we are part of the community, which we were in Mantra Hotel with 65 refugees and 30 staff changes every day. And it impacts my mental health and others as well. I think we're trying to protect ourselves from the COVID-19 as a human beings to have that right, but you can see even the basic human rights, everyone can have that right to protect themselves from anything that make them in danger, and we have that right to protect ourselves from the COVID-19. And if I look at the COVID-19 in a good way, what impact to my music, I think it was helpful because of the musician, and they could help me because they have time. Most of them, they are free to work on some music, and they were keen to support me and help me with producing my songs. I released 3 songs in the COVID-19, and I have 3 more songs. And I think this is the opportunity to have the musician to help me with producing the songs.
Yeah, so it's like polar opposite experiences there, where you've got this shocking lack of PPE and sanitizer not being available, and concerns about guard changes and protecting yourself from COVID-19. But then on the flip side, you've had this great opportunity to work with other artists online, do their weekly Zoom meetings with our songwriting group, and you've released 3 songs already and have several others in the works. So yeah, it's not a head spin of different differences. Yeah, a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I had both of them at the same time. I am still panicking, and also I am creating music, and I have collaboration with musicians, which is great, and is something great in my whole experience while I am in Melbourne.
Yeah. Francesca, this is something we talked about before the session. I know that you had something that you really wanted to share about what actionable change we can see in the music industry to better mental health.
Yeah. So I have a podcast called Anonymous Musicians, and it's a platform that I use where the kind of conversations that came up in the group sessions last year were explored with lots of different people in the music industry. And I just started seeing there was lots of different things that could actually change in the industry that would facilitate better mental health in our industry. And they were kind of things like feeling more valued in society, I think is a huge one. I believe that you, from day one being a musician, you'd never feel fully supported by society. And I think just kind of trying to fight for a little bit more of that, I think would be incredibly important. And having these community art programs is such an integral part of that, because it is a community where we're all doing similar things and supporting each other, not feel valued. So no, that's for me my number one. And yeah, I will fight for that for a long time. And then just things like what we were talking about before is the safe spaces in venues, and working together with venues as artists to provide those spaces, I think is incredibly important. And, you know, not like going to a venue and having a rider that's soda water rather than it's just automatically beer, I think is a great one. And I toured in London and they gave you food cards, things like that, I think would be really amazing in Australia. So you have the opportunity to have a good meal rather than have a slab of beer. I think would be really great. And then I think there's just a lot of things like just more communication within the arts community. I think that it's such a kind of dog eat dog industry where we're all trying to get to, you know, that dream that we're fighting for. But if we all break that down, we're really all just looking for community and connection. And I think if we kind of started to take away a little bit of that networking and ego around the music community, I think it would just really show that we're all just looking for connection and to feel supported. So yeah, I think if society and the government can support these kind of community arts, I think would be incredibly important to the overall mental health. So that's what I've come up with so far.
That's great, Fran. I'm
you.
interested to know what your sense is of the support you feel for yourself and for musicians, for the sector from the government in the COVID-19 period. You know, what have you seen and what's your thoughts on the kind of response that's been seen?
Absolutely. I think the job seeker and job keeper for all of those musicians who've been lucky enough to gain that support has been immensely supportive and amazing. That new, I think it was $30 million that got pushed a few weeks ago to support our venues was really quite surprising, but also, yeah, I was so grateful for that. And I feel like we feel a little bit more seen and heard. But, you know, there are initiatives in France, for example, where musicians get minimum wage through the government from being a musician. So I think with this new support from the government, maybe we can kind of keep trying to push for that a little bit more. We're obviously going to a recession, so that will be a little bit difficult. But I think this year has yeah, has really helped artists just have that time to do their art. I've been lucky enough to get Job Seeker, and I've just been able to focus on my music and create, and I feel extremely lucky for that, and to do my work on the podcast and try and, you know, use that time that I've been given for the better. But yeah, I do think I personally, as a musician, do feel supported at the moment.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Thanks, Fran.
Thanks for sharing those different perspectives and things that can actually be done to make positive change into the music industry. There are things that we can actually do about this. We don't have to put up with an industry that just doesn't really work and doesn't really look after people.
Yeah, can I also quickly say as well, just as audience members as well, ticket prices hasn't gone up since the 90s for musicians, and streaming has come in, which has completely taken away from artists' revenue. And so I think if you are an audience member, if you can, if a musician you like is on Bandcamp or anything like that, please pay a little bit more than they're asking. If you're going to a gig and a musician, you know, next year I think we should really try and push for more, like for the ticket prices to go up. And if you are going to go to a gig and see it's $30 instead of $15, please know that that's actually really supporting musicians. So yeah, I think initiatives into ticket prices going up, I think would also be incredibly impactful, if that's a word.
Yeah, art is work. I think there's a campaign around at the moment of art is work. People are sharing on Facebook because it is work, and people often need this money to pay the bills and support their family, just like regular people who have jobs do. Like, just because you get your money from a gig doesn't mean you're not a worker as well. Yeah, so I'd love to invite Ajak Kwai now to have a little performance in this section. Would you like to introduce the song that you're going to play, Ajak? Tell us a little about.
I was going to accompany me with a piano, but I'm going to sing a cappella for you, or otherwise I can just read a poem. What do you like?
I think I'd love to hear some of your a cappella singing. You were talking about how that was really important to you as you were growing up, always singing a cappella with nobody to accompany you. I'd love to hear some. If you're warmed up and feeling ready.
Yeah, this song, it's called You Said You Coming Back. It's for, it is my last CD. It was about the people that we wait for, you know, went to war, they didn't come back. So it's not suitable for this time, but that is a beautiful a cappella. I'm going to sing it to you. Ajalan laya baitit, ajalan laya baitit, ajalan laya baitit, ajalan laya baitit. In jatin ranjik when you la do in jadoro kariri chakagu maero wedu chagum wara kaya chagum akabawar piawan be junub bagachu aineriam pandagachu ainwi Tukalawa wajunulbai. Tukalawa wajunulbai. Itijidung aja baralwele dang abijalwele lo. Itijidung aja baralwele dang abijalwele lo. Kaja jebe du chen, kaja je chen, we junu lel bai. Ati jideng aji lel dang, abija lel lon. Ajalan la ya baiti. Ajalan la ya baiti. Inja tien arun jwe kuinjila dung roro inja dung huai. Away. Away. Thank you.
Let's make some internet
So
noise.
good.
Ajak,
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Farhad.
Yeah.
Getting
Wow.
fantastic responses on Facebook Live to Ajak. People are loving it, and I can hear my family are listening to it in another part of the house. You're still singing, it's coming around.
Oh, that's
Beautiful, Ajak.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can you tell us about the song?
The song it actually I don't want to explain it because it's a quite sad song. But you know, in Africa, you turn that sad song to the happy song, and it talk about it talk about the people who are in a war. They were going to come back, and one particular was someone I knew when I was a young girl, about 13, and in a church. And he was a student in university, and he went and he said, I don't want to harm someone. I'd rather to get killed than to kill someone. And he got harmed. But he was going to come back. So that's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful, Ajak. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah.
Laura, would you like me to ask a question, Laura?
Yes, that would be wonderful. I'm just looking at maybe that second question there that we've in the notes.
Yeah. I wanted to ask the question, just a simple, bold question for each panelist to answer. Can music change the world? Ajak, would you like to start? You've sung so beautifully for us, and you've spoken of a lot of dimensions of music as we've had this conversation, but can music change the world?
Definitely. It has changed the world, and it will continue to change the world. And as you know, the song that you sing, we sing in a choir. They come from there. They change the world. There were some artists. They were not supposed to be in America. It's a long time. They were not supposed to be together. And I can't remember. I cannot remember his name. But there was a black guy that was had a very deep voice. What is his name?
Paul Robeson.
Yeah, and he was he was a black, pretending to be white, and so people become he united people. And the other one was sister what is her name? She is an amazing guitarist in America. She was older one, sister Rosette. I am very bad with the name. And
Rosetta Tharpe, is that who you think of? Yeah.
And she sang to the white audience all the time, and actually it brings people together. Something in South Africa. There is the guy was very vocal, white South African, and was music. And so music changed the world into the better place, but we can still keep to change the world. It doesn't need to be a big change. It could be I just sing change somebody's life. like sing to in a community and feel someone happy at that moment. It changes life. It could be a love song that change people to life at that time, get married. It could be very, so music, I do strongly believe music can change the world. It's the only universal we got that we can use. And also it bring people together, and music bring people together. And that is the power of music. So yes, the music can change the world.
Thank you, Ajak. Fran, what about for you? How would you answer that question?
I was just thinking then, picture a world without music. And I think it's already changed the world. I think of all the times that we've been together as family. Think about all the times that we're going through hard times and we turn to music. And then think about that ricocheted into the whole of the world. I think it's a pretty powerful visual to picture a world without music. And yeah, I think that's my answer.
It's quite a stark image, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not necessarily the world that we want.
No. And I also think that COVID it's been a time to, a lot of people have been saying, I think it's time for musicians to rethink their career or artists to rethink their career. And then a lot of people have hit that back with the, think about everything we are doing in lockdown. It's all to do with the arts. And I think that music has really gotten people through this time. So I think right now it's even more important than ever.
Sabet refers in the comments to the communities in Italy who sang out of
Yes.
their windows to each other in the streets. And I don't know whether there's been much of that. Sabet did note, we haven't done that in Australia. Maybe our streets are too wide.
Yeah, that was actually quite an amazing visual. I remember when lockdown was happening, and that was kind of like this beautiful moment where it made everyone feel like lockdown was not going to be so scary. And for some reason that will always kind of be in my mind of those Italians singing as like, it's going to be okay. We're all doing this together. And yeah, it was pretty powerful.
Thanks, Fran.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ajak.
In particular, the people who sing for, what touched me is the children who sing for their grandparents. And they sang for grandparents. It was on the ABC, and there was, and the people sing in the nursing home, singing for the older people. And I think that was really very touchy for me, because I have been so feel about the older people in the nursing home. It's heartbroken. And I think for people to do that, that was a beautiful thing.
Farhad, you've spoken of, that artist, yourself as an artist, as an activist, and how your situation has compelled you to be that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on, can music change the world?
Yes, definitely, yes. The music has the ability to make people dance, happy, sad, or cry, or laugh. And also the music has to be stress reduce. You can also see the ability of the music can improve your memory, improve your activities. What are you doing in your day? You play the music on background and improve your what it called, improve your motivation, and also it could be helpful for better sleep. And also music could help for reduce the symptom of depression. and it could easily change the world, and also makes the borders, eliminate the borders and be one nation just by music, because the music has no borders. We just listen to the traditional song from Ajak, and it just was beautiful. And I didn't understand, I didn't know about words. That's the music. That's the music always says that. There is no borders. There is no any languages. Music is music and takes you to somewhere, and you can feel it. You can accept that, and it's something. It's like a gift. I don't know where, but it's a gift, and connected to your souls, your body, and you calm, you relax, and it could really easily change the world to bring peace and stop war and many other bad things is happening in this world.
There have been many beautiful projects in the world, haven't there, where people have crossed borders of hatred with each other, and music has been the journey. I think of Palestine and Israel, for example, and things. I wonder, Farhad, if you were to play some of your songs loud enough in front of Parliament House in Canberra, would the sound waves change things inside the house?
Yes, yes.
And there's a song of yours that you've written. You know, it's a very powerful statement, a very direct song to those lawmakers and policymakers about the situation that you were in, and the situation that we put you in as a country puts us into a place of shame as well. And we carry that as a burden that nobody should carry, and because our society should never do that to another human being. So we stand with you on that. And I wonder if we might wrap up our conversation today with viewing your music video clip and your song Cruel Policy.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank the audience and all musicians from Wild at Heart. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you too.
You
yeah,
too,
we
Isaac.
will, you know.
Yeah, it was really lovely. Yes, you go.
Things will change. Trouble don't last for long.
It sounds like a gospel song, Ajak.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got it from that song. The trouble don't last for long.
Yeah.
Farhad, I wonder if you would share us a little bit of insight around how you went making the video for this clip that we'll see, because there are a number of faces there of refugees and asylum seekers, human beings, people that are detained by the Australian government. And yeah, how did you manage to do that, organise it? What was the technology like? How did it all happen?
The Cruel Policy, written by me and my friend Janelle Quincy, and the music I wrote it, and produced the music David Koff, and the beautiful video clip and directed and mixed it by Sean Haley. I asked my friends to be part of the video, and some of them, they were keen. And also I asked Craig Foster from Amnesty, and also he was a great footballer, and some artists like Shane Howard, he's a musician, and Lydia Thorpe from The Green, she's an Aboriginal woman, and Nick McCain as well. They were really interested to be part of the video, and it was really great collaboration with international artists around the world. You can see many artists are participated in this video clip, and it makes the video more powerful, and I can call it, it's our song. It's not just Farhad's song, it's our songs. And we translated to 11 languages. And anyone can find their languages in the, if we are not missing it, and we are trying to find some more languages.
Let's have a look at the song. We'll see everybody after the song. We'll wrap up together.
Thank you.
Okay, dear.
Thank you, Ajak, Farhad.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. It's a very powerful song. I think that should be wheeled into the Parliament House
Yeah.
screen for everybody to see. it's extraordinary the resistance of our government to, I think, what's understood to be the majority voice of people, of the Australian people's will on this issue. And, you know, you saw that in the response that Jackie Lambie sought from public opinion in how to make her decision. And 93%, I think it was, of over 100,000 respondents said, in that case, to support the right to have a phone, at least in your environment. So Farhad, thank you. You're an amazing human, and you are an incredibly resilient artist to do what you've done, to be as prolific as you have, and to use your voice for hope and for justice for yourself and for everybody else. So thank you so much. It's been a real privilege and an honour to have you here today, and to have you part of the Wild at Heart community is a great privilege too. So thank you. So can everyone make some big noise and appreciation for Farhad?
Yeah, thank you. That was very powerful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone of our guests, for coming along today and sharing your insights and personal experiences. Francesca Gonzales, you can find her Instagram at Francesca Gonzales _. Make some noise for Francesca, everyone.
Yay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Francesca.
Thank you.
It was such an honor to be on this panel. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And Ajak Kwai, make some noise for Ajak Kwai.
Ajak, thank
you so
much
for making me a part of it. And yeah, and that is the beauty of the community. Let's make the community through music. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajak, for sharing your stories and being here with us today. It's a great honor to have you here.
And for Farhad Bandesh, you can see his art at Farhad Bandesh Art on Facebook, and he's also on YouTube just as Farhad Bandesh. Make some noise, everybody, for Farhad Bandesh. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your insights and your personal experience and speaking out against what is cruel policy by the Australian government. Thank you. Thank you very much, Farhad.
And thanks everybody viewing today and viewing in the days coming while the video is available on Facebook. Thanks for being part of the Unmuted Festival. And please stay connected for the rest of the festival. There are performance events on most evenings. There are beautiful artist interview events throughout the days. Calm mornings every morning with JR, streamed live out of Ballarat, or Bacchus Marsh, actually, not Ballarat. So there's some beautiful things to happen coming up. Just go to unmutedfestival.com for all the details and event links. Thanks, everybody.